Welcome to Life Today TV. I'm Randy Robison. I'm here with Taya Kyle. She is the widow of Chris Kyle, whom the movie American Sniper chronicled part of his life. She has a new book. It's called American Wife. We're talking about her story, and she'll talk in depth about that on Life Today. You can see that at lifetoday.org. Welcome, Taya.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you. You know, a lot of what you do, of course, the nature of the thing and with the movie and the book is to look back and quite an extraordinary life you've lived. I want to look forward and look forward to the extraordinary life that you continue to live. So what's going on now with Taya Kyle?
Well, I have a few projects that I'm working on. Some of it is some television stuff related to American Wife and American Gun, which is Chris's second book. But the other things that I'm looking forward to doing are working with the Chris Kyle Frog Foundation, and that's really centered around honoring God and country by serving families who serve. And that's not just veterans, but it's first responders and veterans in their marriages. And you know, I'm extraordinarily passionate about helping marriages in general, but the foundation, that's the purpose of that. And then, you know, I've had some very interesting experiences lately where I really feel led to follow up on one of the things that's hurt my heart the longest, and that's our foster children in this country. I really feel very strongly that they need to be adopted out of the system. And I've heard so many success stories, and I want to open that dialogue a little bit more for people and see what we can do there to get the kids out of the system. And other than that, you know, I'm a mom, first and foremost. I have some more books in me because I've been so inspired by other people who I think their stories are very powerful and very inspirational. I do speaking engagements, and I'm part of the Patriot Tour, which is one of the most phenomenal things that I've been involved with. And it's got Marcus Luttrell, who of course is a lone survivor, Chad Fleming, who is a veteran, and David Goggins, who is an ultra marathoner. And their stories are so incredible and inspiring. And you know, we travel across the country, and we've been doing it for a couple years now. And I've heard these stories before, and I'm still inspired, and they change it up and they make you laugh and hit you in the heart. So it's a kind of a bullet point version of a lot of different balls in the air. But
yeah, I mean, there's some creative, there's some activism. Mm-hmm. Have you always had those things a part of what you do, what you like to do?
You know, I have. I think that my primary focus when Chris was alive was to keep our family tight and to raise our kids the best that I could, and to be a supportive wife and figure out how that all worked when, you know, he was gone a lot and there were deployments and our life was changing, and then he got out of the military, and I wanted to be support for him, and I wanted us to not just have a good marriage but an amazing one. And I was able to do some things with him and through him, but you know, I've found that maybe I have some different opportunities now to fulfill some things that have been on my heart for a while.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you were sadly forced into a lead role in a sense, and so I think you go, Lord, what do I do now?
Right.
Why am I here, and what do you want me to do? And
right.
And so if those are those things that are on your heart,
right. And I could never. There's no way I could do them by myself. There just truly isn't. And I feel like really God's put the people in my life and around me to accomplish these things. And that, I think, has been one of the biggest blessings in all of this is, while I would change it all in a heartbeat to have Chris back, I still know that promise of God saying that he will bring beauty through the ashes. And I see how he's doing that. It doesn't mean that if he had asked me ahead of time that I would have said, okay, absolutely not, right?
Sure.
I would have begged and pleaded.
Yeah.
But I still marvel at the ways that where I used to go to my husband for support, and we of course both went to God. Now I just go right to God and tell me how, tell me who, tell me where, when, and I've really been astonished, and it's this very deep, heartfelt appreciation for how God's shown me that even when you lose something that you never think you can survive the loss of, he will put other people in place to make sure that you don't just circle the drain.
Yeah. I've talked to a lot of people who have gone through just, you know, horrible circumstances,
right.
Just terrible loss, painful
right.
loss. And the recurring theme I hear is that God shows up in even deeper ways, and in ways that really you kind of have to even get through them. I mean, are you experiencing?
100%.
That? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell you that if I didn't have my faith, that I would not be getting out of bed truly, and if I didn't think that I would see Chris again someday, I would not be okay. And I do feel it. I sometimes use the analogy of an amputation. If you have your child and the doctor says they need to cut off his leg, what would you do? You would prepare them ahead of time the best you could. You would hold them through as much of the process as you could, and then you would be there for them afterward. And I feel like free will was at play in Chris's death and his friend Chad Littlefield's death. And God gives that promise to everybody, including people who are going to choose to do evil with their free will. But he, I think, knew ahead of time and prepared me through some different struggles that I had before to show me that maybe I was stronger than I thought. And then I know he was with me through that time where, we found out that Chad and Chris were murdered, and has been with me since. And I feel like that in itself shows me that the verses in the Bible, that our trials and tribulations are not only to create compassion in us for others, but also perseverance. And as cliche as some things sound, that our struggles do make us stronger. And I've gone from a girl who had this underlying anxiety every time my husband would leave on deployment. And the first time I was jumpy at everything. I mean, I couldn't logically say why I was so jumpy, because logically I would tell myself he was going to be fine, or it was what it was. But emotionally, that undercurrent to now, when I look at the mountain of things that have come at me, whether it's various court trials, the murder trial, different problems that have come my way, and then wanting to be an amazing mom, which every parent wants to be, and then grieving at the same time, I see that it's true. All of those trials beforehand were creating a perseverance that I would need in the future, and I wouldn't have known that at the time.
Yeah. What are you most hopeful for in your life and the things you're doing?
I guess my deepest hopes right now are that my kids are happy, and that somehow, while their life is so different than what my life was growing up, that somehow we come out of that bonded and happy, and that they feel the same kind of faith that their dad did and that I do. And then I hope that I continue to heal, and I hope that I continue to find more joy in the moments. I find that sometimes that's a little bit of a struggle for me. But I heard my aunt came to me about a week ago and said that she had something on her heart that she really felt she needed to tell me. And the first thing she said was that she felt positive, and she could see it, that I would have great joy in my life. And for whatever reason, it kind of made me cry. And I think because I don't know how that's possible, right? I think I can be happy and enjoy moments, but I don't see this great joy, because I think that, I feel like sometimes that dream died with Chris. And so now I just accept that I'll never have that, but I'll still have a decent life. And what she told me was that she wanted me to start thanking God for the joy that I've had, but every day she wanted me to wake up and thank him for the joy that was coming. And I thought, that was so interesting, and I've been doing that, and I find that it does give me, I don't have to know what the joy is. I don't have to know how it comes or what it's going to be, but it's true. We all will have more joy in our life for as long as we live, if we're open to it. So thanking God for that now has been a powerful thing for me.
Yeah, night doesn't last forever.
No,
and joy comes in the
it
morning.
doesn't.
Interesting, I'll just tell you this. Blessed are those who mourn, that phrase that Jesus said. The word in the Greek is makarios, that we translate as blessed.
Oh, okay.
That word is translated one other way in English, and that word is happy.
Oh, really?
So what he's saying is happy are those who mourn, which you think that's the complete opposite of happiness. Well, the answer is in the next phrase, for they shall be comforted.
Oh, yeah, that's true, yeah.
So there is a restoration of joy that comes after the mourning.
Right.
Well, you could say in the morning, but after the period of mourning.
Right.
Because there's the comfort that comes through that I sense you've experienced quite a bit.
I have, and I really appreciate you sharing that with me, because I love to know, for me, it's something about taking the Bible, not just as good words, but as a reality. I love to see how something that was put on paper so long ago is absolutely timeless and so profound. And I have seen that, and I do get it. To be very honest with you, I don't think this is a good thing that I do, but I can be honest enough to say that I know there's a part of me that holds on to saying I never should be totally happy again, right? Because in some way that feels like I'm forgetting or I'm leaving behind the pain of losing my husband.
No, but what would he want?
Right, I know.
What would he want?
I know, he would want me to be
you
happy.
He would want you to move on, not in the sense of moving away, but to continue what y'all started together.
Right, and I had a really good friend who talked to me, and I can't remember if I put this in American Wife or not, but he was a teammate and dear friend of Chris's, and he told me one day that he thought of me being on the football field in the game of life, and that Chris was my teammate, and we were working toward getting to the end zone, and that Chris died, but I'm not supposed to be alone in the game. And I said, well, I'm not. I feel like Chris is this hologram, and we're just going to finish the game together. And he said, I don't think so. He said, I think that Chris is in the front, in the bleachers, and he's your biggest fan.
Yes.
And he wants to cheer you on, but you have to give him the game to watch.
Yes.
And I thought,
good words.
I just, I sobbed when I heard him say it, and I thought, it is true. It is. And somehow the logic part and the emotion part haven't totally joined up to where that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
But I do believe it. I really do. And I also believe that, of course, I would want, I would want Chris to be happy too. If something happened to me, like the sooner the better, really. I would have, if we have any control over that at all, I'd have been like, hey God, can I hook him up down here and help him move this, but, and I think that is the way he feels. So I just have to sometimes reconcile that.
Yeah, it takes time, and that's fine.
Yeah.
There's no shame in taking time.
Yeah.
But there's also no shame in doing the things in your life, the passions that are in your heart, the fulfillment. Because God still has a plan for you.
Right.
You're not done yet.
No.
We've all got a race to run.
Right.
His was shorter than yours.
Right.
And
I think he did more in his short amount of time maybe than most, certainly more than me.
We tend to measure in, I think, a way that God doesn't measure.
That's true. That's true.
So, because anyway, I want to jump back to one thing, looking forward, because you caught my attention when you first said you're working on some television stuff with American Gun.
American Gun,
yeah.
Right. So that was Chris's second book that he was working on when he was killed. And so HarperCollins, William Morrow helped us get that out the door. And there have been some production companies that wanted to do, and we decided on one that we're going to move forward with, and they're going to do each chapter and do an episode on each chapter of it. Really? And what I love about it is that I'm not necessarily great with facts and history, and I certainly am not good with the technology of guns and all of that.
Right.
So, but I loved American Gun because it showed how people don't change. Humanity is the same. Our tools can change. The wars, the place that they take place, that can change. But really the dynamic is all the same. And so I loved it because there were personal stories in there. And so the company that we decided to go with is going to do sort of an archive type historical look at each of the stories and guns in an episode, and it'll be probably like a 10-episode series.
Wow. Very cool.
I think it's going to be really neat.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah.
No, I'm looking forward to that. We'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
Check out all that Taya's doing. Check her out when she's on Live Today, again at livetoday.org. And the website where you can see all the great work that she's doing is?
ChrisKyleFrogFoundation.org.
And the frog is?
The frog is the symbol for the foundation, and it's based off of Navy SEALs were called frogmen, and Chris's tattoo was the frog skeleton, and that's something that a lot of Navy SEALs use to symbolize honoring the fallen.
Very cool. ChrisKyleFrogFoundation.org. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.